Good morning, fellow Ambazonians. Today, na Monday Ghost Town Day, Country Sunday, Day for Independence, for cry for our separation from La Republique and our outright independence for our territory. Today, na Monday, number 21 day for number 3 months for the year 2022. My name na Capo Daniel, the Deputy Defense Chief, Anti-Kidnapping Czar of the Ambazonian Governing Council, aka Sense Pass King. Lukong, una own countryman. Una welcome for our daily podcast, a program where they bring meaningful information, meaningful analysis, fact-based and truthful information will be relevant for help our people for move our liberation movement into outright independence of our territory. In this program, we believe in the truth matter. We believe in Ambazonians' value and way of life, the way of life of self-governance, the way of life of civil service, the way of life of taking care of each other. We then start the weekend with good news. Say one of the Cameroon military man will be shot by the Ambazonian Defense Forces, Bamenda Brigade, for corner army rescue. Last week, he then finally died for inside Yaounde for hospital. The officer, they be suffer wound and they be carry go for Bamenda Hospital before the movie carry and go down for Yaounde. It then make 3 people that wouldn't die for army rescue in the hands of our liberation forces. We then promise, say the resistance, it will be stiffed, it will continue until the last Cameroon military, it will be booted out of our territory. We shall not stop neutralizing the presence of Cameroon military men within Ambazonian territorial boundaries. While for the international scene, the Chinese President Xi Jinping and the United States President Joe Biden didn't get a 2-hour-long conversation on telephone. For that conversation, Xi Jinping of China, he remind America, say the American government and the Chinese government then get an obligation for war peace, for bring war peace for this war, as they consider the issue the way it happened within Russian war against Ukraine. The obligation for preserve war peace, it then be the center for the United Nations since a day for its creation. The United Nations, it then promised preventive diplomacy. They then also promised for stop genocide. But in the past decades, the war, it then be diverted from its goal. The United States, it then violate several charter for the United Nations. The Russians and everybody basically then turn their back for the focus of bringing about war peace, a global village where human beings, they will be able to live within the law and order set about by the charters of the United Nations. The revision of the goal of the United Nations now a big and good news for the people of Ambazonia, who stands for justice according to the international law and according to the charter of the United Nations. This charter will guarantee that the Cameroon government will retreat back into its territorial boundaries as it attains its independence, with the hope, say the revision and the reiteration of the United Nations Charter, it will bring Cameroon for justice once the issue of Ambazonia will be raised in places of high places in the United Nations. Still for the same line, the former American Undersecretary for State for African Affairs, Tibor Nagy, he then give a powerful interview for the Cameroon-based media Prime channel. The Ambazonian Governing Council President, the leader of Ambazonian War of Liberation, Dr. Cho Ayaba, he then welcomed the statement them with Tibor Nagy he make him for that interview. The interview, Tibor Nagy, he talk say America, he go support Ambazonian their right of self-determination because America, he be clean, he be leaning towards supporting people their rights, and the right of self-determination being one of them. For the interview, they asked Tibor Nagy if the American government, according to the newspapers, some foreign newspaper we publish them, say despite the fact say America during the time of Donald Trump, it be stop a military aid for Cameroon military. Cameroon newspaper it then show say the American it be still support special operation the way it be carried out by the B. If this publication it be true, it go mean say American government it is still support Cameroon in war against Ambazonia. Tibor Nagy he make for the news say it be very clear, American government shall never support Cameroon war against Ambazonia.
How will the United States still be supplying weapons to Cameroon, knowing very well that weapons donated to fight Boko Haram still find themselves in the northwest and southwest, killing innocent people coming in from Elijah?
Yeah, there I go back to what I talked about before. Now, the United States has an incredibly complicated and sophisticated monitoring mechanism to see the uses that military equipment is put to, that is provided to other countries. And the instant that there's evidence that something has been used in a situation where there's human rights violations committed, that the training stops, the equipment stops. So that is looked at very seriously. Again, I can only talk about when I was a secretary. We followed the situation extremely closely, and as I said, we stopped certain programs with certain Cameroonian units as soon as we had evidence that they were involved in human rights violations in the northwest or southwest provinces. So that is something the United States takes very seriously, and I can't emphasize enough how incredibly interested certain members of Congress are to make sure that the United States does not allow its military equipment to be used in illegal ways.
For those who are just joining us,
It be a very damning statement made as regarding weapons being used in Ambazonia, as considered by Tibor Nagy as weapons being used in an illegal way. This goes to discredit Cameroon's justification of its war against Ambazonia. Tibor Nagy, he informed the Cameroon people through media prime, say the way things then they, it no fit remain the way they. They can resolve the problem between Ambazonia and La République, and they no fit accept the way things then they, the way they now.
Yeah, and that's exactly why I asked that question. I forgot what happened when I sent that, but I know it was something that happened that continues to be tremendously frustrating, because we all know that the current status that the Anglophone region is in cannot continue like that. So the question is, the Cameroonian government obviously knows that. Will the Cameroonian government take steps now to change the situation in a way that would be acceptable to most of the Anglophone population? Or is it going to have to wait until there's a change in the Cameroonian government? I mean, President Biya has been there now for, 39 years? And it's obvious that he's not going to be there forever. So are things going to change before he leaves the scene? Are things going to change after he leaves the scene? Is it going to take even longer than that? I mean, we're at a point where what we call the status quo cannot remain. And there's a law in physics that if, something cannot go on, then it will stop. So the question is, when will that stop? How will it stop? And that leads to another one of my frustrations is I don't think anybody outside of Cameroon is absolutely certain as to exactly what the Anglophone population wants.
So these are very revealing statement made by the former Undersecretary of State for African Affairs, Ambassador Tibor Nagy, who still get clearance, security clearance for White House, and is to be privy to briefings to the Congress and other things. So he's a very, very powerful person who have been inside, have given this statement. The biggest message I want Ambazonians to listen very carefully is what he said, that it depends on what the Ambazonian people want. That is why the Ambazonian Governing Council, Dr. Cho Ayaba, pushes for education of our people, and he encourages us to educate our people every day. He encouraged our leaders on the ground, General Efang and all our generals, to do community mobilization. General Kumbu, Major General Capo, Captain Sumopikin, General Mbola, General Sumanguru, and all the Ambazonian leaders who are on the ground, the ones in Tupac in Dop and all of them, to always engage the community. And Cameroon government knows this one very well. Now, why that we see they always do propaganda for lie our people, for use football, for try to convince our people, for deny say they no still want, for resist, for accept the status quo. The mindset of our people now the ultimate battleground. Now, why that way, when our people they deny say they no want Cameroon, the problem in will be solved in a way will be acceptable for them. It be very important. And now why that way, black legs, enablers and collaborators, they always try to make force our people, they may they accept things them the way we Cameroon want them or the way we things and they for make a them lost hope. But would one tell una say make una continue for resist, make una continue for take example, even for our people the way na refugee them. We not say refugee the way they run cross for Biafra and Nigeria, then be outspoken, they fit actually talk their mind without being afraid for Cameroon death squad and Cameroon prosecution. And most of our refugee them every single day their word for we it be clear. We fight, una continue for fight. Our mami them for diaspora, our mami them for ground zero, the word them be the same. The ghost town, it reflect the same. The spontaneous protests we now see across our territory from Boya to Bamenda to Womb, all they give the same message. Will continue for resist Cameroon. It be very important make our people them continue for resist and demonstrate their resistance against Cameroon. It be very important make our people understand the tactics for Cameroon for change the formula and the way to push them forward. Tibor Nagy he make them very very clear. Say the Cameroon government, two things. One, say the Cameroon government know, say things they no fit remain the way we did and it no be acceptable for the rest of the war. But the last thing we talk na say most of the war no know which way we want them. This is a question we are going to pose to our leader of our liberation, Dr. Chuayaba, today. We are going to give him a call to clarify that and to give us more insight that to show us how his strategy will address that. We are going to do that. But we know very well that the main issue have been Cameroon government ability to use enablers and Ambazonians, their foolishness and their greed, their wickedness to make themselves available to be used. We see how they be saying somebody like Kawala, Edith Kawala, for American University, for go convince researchers, say there are the Ambazonian struggle citing Siseko was based on lies because Siseko came and lied to people that the United Nations would come and help. That was, I think he was just full deceived to say that. We know that the reason why our people rose up was very clear. Even Siseko articulated very well, but somehow some people push him to make a statement, just a small statement that was used diplomatically against our struggle. They continue to use enablers and embedded agents to come out and make statements that does not reflect the articulation of our case, and then take those statements, go back and use them against our people. That's why we must be very careful, the people who speak on behalf of Ambazonia, to be well articulate to the script, because as on people who are subjugated, we have more obligation, we have more battle to make our voice heard. We have been fighting the narrative on media, we have been fighting with the international media, and we have made a lot of progress. But we are going to pose this question to our leader of our liberation, and definitely we'll get answers for you. We know that the United Nations have been directly engaged. We have had the meeting between the Francois Faure, who may be the representative for United Nations for Central Africa, with Dr. Chuayaba in terms of pre-negotiation. We be done be breakdown. We know say the Swiss government and the Swiss group, they don't also come up with something like that. We know say the Security Council, it don't bring up the subject. So definitely they know not just politics, but it means they will get work for do and this work it will be done. That one we can assure you, we can guarantee our people there is no turning back, there is no looking back. We will win, we will defeat Cameroon, and all the enablers again. All the enablers in this campaign, as one of the hear how serious the ramification be for the activities of enabler, for deceive our people and for put at risk our liberty and our freedom, we will hunt enablers down. As I talk for now, since we open the road for Cambe, Plenty Cameroon government teacher they don't begin try for attempt for go for Nkambe. As we know, say Nkambe it done been a hot spot for Cameroon corruption for our people. Cameroon decadent and virus. Some of those teachers they done be arrested. We inform our people then for no fall for cheap trick for go collect salary for 100,000, 150,000 at the expense of the future of millions of Ambazonians and the ones yet unborn. Make no Cameroon government teacher no pass food for any Cameroon government school within our territory. It is banned and it is forbidden. Doing so, you will do so at your risk, and there shall be consequences. Make all man withdraw their picking them for Cameroon government school. You send your picking them for there. You encourage Cameroon in position of their law and their rule in our territory. This should be known. We don't get the report where they didn't get submitted last week from Ground Zero, where parents they complain about school fees and all those other issues them, where they make them very tough for them for send picking for community school and the private school, the way they don't transform themselves into a community school and all those stuff. Those documents I want for assure parents them say then be submitted to the governing council media expert them, then do consultation, and then they will come out with a policy and try for help out before the coming school year it come. So make we remain tight, we continue to engage our population, and we continue to fight for our liberation. A very, very important campaign they go on. The campaign for 100,000 bullets will be launched directly by the office of the president of the governing council, because of the strategy would apply them for a sustainable attack against Cameroon. Please, if you know about donate for this program, please donate. Please donate. Buy your own bullets for the liberation of our homeland through the 100,000 bullets for Ambazonian forces. God bless you now. Capo Daniel signing off.